Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another talking video. And yeah, this is a subject that has just come to my mind, and I would like to talk about it. And as you can see from the title, this is related to our faith and inviting people to church and handling it carefully, and also dealing with persecution. Yes, I wanted to talk about this. And, well, when I think about inviting people to church, I definitely think back on when I was in grade school and in college, and I think about the years after college. All of this time when I have been involved in church and I have really cared about it. And yeah, I've had my circles of people. And yes, I can think of a number of times, whether it was Sunday night youth group at one church, or Tuesday night youth group, which was at another church, and then Wednesday night youth group, also at another church. And for 1 year, when I was in 12th grade, there was my home church, which had the Sunday night youth group, and another church where there was Tuesday night youth group, and I was getting involved with the church, which had a Wednesday night youth group. And thank goodness that there was a Thursday night college group. Same thing, except for the fact that it was for people who were in college and in their 20s. And I am very glad that I had a Bible study, youth group, college group kind of thing after high school. Because after high school, unfortunately, there are a lot of graduates from high school who go to college and they gain a lot of freedom. And then with that freedom, they stop going to church on Sundays and they are not involved with Bible study. And then, there's that terrible, sinful party lifestyle that you can find on a lot of college campuses, and it ruins people. It steers people down a path of sin. But I was very glad that I have grown up with going to church, and I had all of those youth groups and the college group. And I know for me, ever since I started to rely on God's wisdom instead of my own wisdom, with God's wisdom, I have grown in knowing what is right and what is wrong according to God. And, when I have applied the teachings of the Bible to my own life and how I live, well, things have turned out very well for me. I have stayed out of trouble. I had a peaceful time as a teenager and during my 20s, and so far during my early 30s. And, when I was in grade school and in college, I wanted to invite people to church. And perhaps you may feel inspired to invite somebody you know to join you for a Sunday morning service, or a Sunday evening youth group, or if it's on a different evening in the week, you may want to invite somebody to youth group or a Bible study. And that is definitely a good thing. It is a good thing to invite people because there are two important things that happen when we care about following God's way and when we accept the Lord. One important thing that can happen is that we behave in a godly way. And that's very good for our own life, so we can make good choices and stay away from really bad consequences. We live in a way that is honoring to God. And also, the other important thing is that when we accept the Lord and truly live for Him, then instead of eternal punishment, we can look forward to heaven. And I'm sure that, you may want to see other people out there come to know the Lord, and you can do that, or you can inspire the idea by inviting people to church. Just know that we want to handle it carefully. And when I say that, you can bring it up with somebody you know and say it like this. Well, hey, I am involved with a Bible study during this night of the week. Or, I go to youth group on Sunday evenings, and I also go to a service on Sunday morning. Would you like to join me for that? Would you like to join me for that? And it's a very nice time where we can be together at church. And when it's a Sunday morning service, there are songs that we all sing, and it's a joyful time to be together. And there is also the serious side of it as well, where we hear a lesson, we hear a sermon, and we are encouraged to grow in our faith as a Christian. We can always bring it up in a kind and calm way. And I know that there have been times when I have invited people to church for a Bible study, and they have joined me. And then I can also remember sometimes when certain people did not want to join me. And if that happens, where somebody does not want to join you, we definitely want to handle it carefully, because if we start to make people feel really terrible by saying, "Oh, you didn't come to church, you're not honoring God." If we make people feel really bad, then they may not reconsider going to church with you. And also, if somebody has said that they do not want to join you, if some people may say to you, "Dude, I'm not into that," or if they say to you, "Girl, are you serious? Do you really believe in that stuff? No way, I don't want to go." You can handle it carefully by saying in a calm and slightly assertive way, "Yes, I do believe in following God. I do believe in that, and calmly say, if you ever reconsider and if you ever wish to join me, then you know where to find me, and I would love to talk with you again about it. And some people may need time to think. Maybe ask somebody again in a week or in a couple of weeks and let people think. Let some people think. Maybe some people will reconsider. And some people out there may never care about God. And we cannot force anyone to accept the Lord. We can certainly encourage people to know the Lord. And as Christians, we want to shine our light in the world by sharing the news of the gospel and also truly behaving in a way that honors God. And I do want to say that when we think about our behavior and our example, that is a big, big thing. Yes, words can definitely make people think when we talk about our faith and inviting people to church, but also when we truly live as a Christian. That really, really makes people think. And I know when I have looked at other people who were truly living out their faith and living out certain things that honor God, that has definitely influenced me. I remember when I was getting involved with Anderson Ferry Church of Christ, the Wednesday night youth group, and then the college group there. When I first got involved on Wednesday nights, there were a few people there who were younger than me, like at age 14 and 15. And they were taking the Bible very seriously. They were not making a joke about it at all. And when I saw how serious some of the younger people were about their faith, that made me feel more serious about respecting the Bible and truly living in a way that honors God. And also, when I look at the musician, Bob Dylan, the man who has been proclaimed as the greatest songwriter of all time, I have noticed it over and over through his behavior that he has been very humble. Bob Dylan has been very humble, even after all of the awards and acclaim and all of the people who have just praised his songs, and they say to him, you're number one, you're the greatest. Bob Dylan is still very humble about it. And we have never seen Bob Dylan going around saying, yeah, I am number one, above Paul Simon and Paul McCartney and all of those other people who were considered among the greatest songwriters of the 20th century. I'm so much better than them. No, we have never seen Bob Dylan behaving in that way or speaking in that way, but rather we have seen Bob Dylan behave in a very humble way. And I can remember in 2004, during the 60 Minutes interview, the interviewer was mentioning to Bob Dylan how Dylan's own song, Like a Rolling Stone, was listed as the #1 greatest song of all time. And Bob Dylan replied by saying, well, it's nice to hear that this week, but that could always change. It could always change. And yeah, when I've gone back to look at the songs that are listed as number one through 10, I think the song Like a Rolling Stone is no longer listed as the #1 greatest song. And I think it's now listed as the 4th greatest song of all time, or something like that. But the fact is, Bob Dylan has been very humble. He has been very humble, and that has influenced me to be more humble and to not brag about my accomplishments and how much money I have and all of the amusement parks that I have seen. Bob Dylan has definitely influenced me to be more humble through his behavior. And your behavior, you hear me? Your behavior, especially if you truly give it your full effort and live as a Christian, and you are living in a way that honors God with your words and actions, that can definitely make people think, wow, look at him or look at her, truly living out what they were preaching. Maybe I really need to start thinking about living in that way. Yes, your behavior can definitely make people think, and it's no guarantee, but maybe if people see you truly living for God, some people may reconsider and say, okay, I will join you for church. And you can always mention it a couple of times to someone and let somebody think. And if they say yes to joining you at church, great. And if someone says no, or I'd like to think about it, just handle it carefully. Do not yell at anyone if they say no. Don't make someone feel guilty about saying no. But let some people think. You can always bring it up to someone in the future, in a couple of weeks, or when you may feel the time is right, and see what happens. And also, if there are people out there who persecute you, if they giggle at you, if they say mean things to you, if some people walk away from you because you are truly living for God, you continue to shine your light anyway. You hear me? Continue to shine your light anyway. And don't let anyone try to push you into living a sinful lifestyle. If anyone laughs at you because you invited them to church, or because you stood up for something, you stood up for what is right, and you stood up for living in a way that honors God. If people give you a hard time about it, don't let it get to you. You continue to shine your light anyway. And remember the company that you have around you, because good, godly company will definitely inspire you to continue living in a way that honors God. But as we know from 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, bad company corrupts good character. So just be careful. Just be careful about the company that you have really close to you. I hope that your closest friends are people who truly care about living for God, and that you can all inspire each other every day to live in a way that honors God, and you're making good choices and staying out of trouble and staying away from places that have temptation and staying away from bad decisions that lead to big consequences. I hope you have good company so you all can inspire each other to live in a godly way. And remember, as it says in the book of Ephesians, at the very beginning of chapter 5 in Ephesians, be imitators of God, therefore, as dearly loved children, and live a life full of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Be imitators of God. Be imitators of God. I hope that you can always imitate God and do not imitate evil, but imitate God. And if people persecute you, giggle at you, or give you a hard time because you're living in a way that honors God, or they laugh at you because, oh, look at him or look at her inviting people to church, don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you. Okay? It is a very good thing when we can bring people to church, and it is a very good thing when someone can start to behave in a way that is godly. And then it's also very important and very good to see someone be saved, and when they are saved, they no longer have to look forward to being, in that place of facing eternal punishment, but rather they can look forward to heaven when they dedicate their life to God and they truly live for him. And that can definitely happen, or we can inspire it, when we invite people to church and we handle it carefully with people's responses. And also, like I said, with our behavior, that can definitely influence people as well. And yeah, definitely think about it, pray about it, and if there is someone who you may think about inviting to church, hey, give it a shot and see if somebody wants to join you for church. And remind them honestly that, yes, there is the fun and joyful side where there may be a youth group game, and it is a joy to sing songs that honor God. And there is also the serious side where we hear a lesson about God and we hear a sermon and we are inspired. After the fun stuff, we are inspired in a serious way to grow in our faith. And yeah, I hope that over time, if you do invite somebody to church, I hope that some people can say yes, and get prepared for some people to possibly say no to you. And some people may want to think about it. Some people may persecute you. but continue to shine your light for God in this dark world. You continue to shine your light for God, and I hope that you can continue to live for Him. And yeah, I know that we cannot force anyone to accept the Lord. And with everything I'm saying here, I know that I cannot force you to follow the Lord. But I make these videos for anyone who is watching because, yeah, this is the most important thing. And I know that living for God has definitely helped me with my behavior. And yeah, my behavior, especially ever since I was 17, 18, has been the best ever. And I've only grown more mature over time. And also, I am very happy in knowing that since I have accepted the Lord and I will continue living for Him, that instead of facing eternal punishment, I can look forward to heaven. And I do hope at least that I have inspired you to live for God. And, well, just know that there are more videos coming in the near future. I would think over the next few months, where I have more subjects and points that I would like to make. And I make all of these videos because, I care very much about people out there. And, I don't want to see anyone get corrupted by the evil things in this world. But rather, I would hope that anyone out there can truly consider accepting the Lord and living for the Lord, and also inviting other people to church so more people out there can come to know the Lord. I just wanted to share all of that today. I think I've talked for about a half hour now, but I have truly enjoyed talking about this subject, and I wish you the best with those conversations with people when you may invite someone to church. And I hope that some people will say yes. And if some people say no, or they need to think about it, handle it carefully. Don't make anyone feel guilty. Don't blow up at somebody. And also, like I said, if people persecute you, give you a hard time about living for God, you continue to shine your light anyway. I just wanted to say all of that today. And as always, you can find this video in the playlist with the serious talking videos. And if you have made it to the very end of this video, after about a half hour, well, thank you for listening to all of it. And as always, stay well. And I will see you all again for more videos here on my YouTube channel. Thank you.